Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Ooh, did you just turn your red light on?
I did. I've been
Nice.
having some knee pain. I've been working out with Amanda, who just did our Empower Her program. She's awesome trainer, and my knee's been kind of hurting. So yesterday I sat in front of the red light for like an hour and a half, 2 sessions, 45 minutes, and my knee felt so much better. So I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, totally. And we should talk about that in a minute when we talk about energy too.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody. We noticed that when Sophie posted the symptom question a few days ago, that a couple of you were struggling with fatigue. And so we thought today might be a good day, happy Friday, coming into the weekend, to maybe talk about some sneaky or hidden things that might be sabotaging your natural energy, because believe it or not, if our body is really healthy, we should have natural, healthy energy levels throughout the day. And so if you're not experiencing that, something's going on. So we're going to talk about some things that might be sort of sabotaging it that you might even not think about at all, or think, oh, I thought that was like good for me, and but it's not, and or I didn't know that that might be doing something bad. So we're going to go through all of that, and then of course we are going to talk about things that you can do to support your natural energy levels and maybe make some swaps. So let's get started. And just so you guys know, like, we get tired too. So it is, we don't jump out of bed as Superwoman every single day. We both live very busy lives. And so these have, these things that we're going to share with you are really great general supports though. And I do remember back in, gosh, what was that? 2012, I think, before I went, or kind of around all this time when I was like starting to go gluten-free and everything, I was so tired, constantly tired. I would come home from school in the middle of the afternoon and sleep for like 2 hours in the afternoon, just completely crash. It was like, this is not normal, Kylene. You're like in your 20s, you should feel super healthy, right? I didn't. And when I went gluten-free, I remember that being like, holy crap, I could wake up in the morning and go to my 8 a.m. class, no issue, would not crash during the day. Like, to me, that was like, I found like the holy grail of energy. I was so surprised. But anyway.
That was me too, actually. I think gluten was like the main symptom for me was always fatigue. I always say that when I added it back in, I actually fell asleep at my job, which was a live show off Broadway at the time. And my boss was not so happy with me. She was like, "Oh, could you wake up and do the show?" I was like, "Sorry, I had gluten." And then that was it. I was like, well, if I can't do my job, then I can't eat gluten.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of that was it. And I never really looked back. And
so there you go, guys. We dove right in. Number 1 tip, stop eating gluten. If you've watched any of our videos, that's our number 1 tip for every health problem you possibly have. It's the only panacea we offer is going gluten-free. Everything else.
We don't really say that about anything else, but we just feel there's no reason to have it in your diet. It's going to only hurt you. If you're symptomatic and you haven't given it up, just try it. Just try it.
And here's the thing, don't be 80-20 about it, be 100% about it.
Yeah, you have to be 100%. It doesn't work if you do 80-20. That's the only thing with that one thing. We don't say that about a lot of things. We like balance with everything, but gluten is just unfortunately super toxic for us, and that can show up in different ways, like fatigue.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some of the top sneaky saboteurs, so to speak. All right, so the number 1 that I think everyone can relate to, comment below if this is you. Stimulants like coffee. Anybody. Okay, so everybody relies on coffee. And if you have ever had more than 1 coffee before noon, you're probably a little too dependent on it. So meaning, if you're one of those people that's like, well, I have it right when I wake up, and then I have it, maybe at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then I got to have it after my lunch because I definitely have that afternoon slump. And man, just to get to 5 o'clock and get through the day, I got to have it again at 3 p.m. You might have a little bit of an issue with it. So there are obviously other stimulants too, with caffeine, and gosh, it's so funny because this is so outside of my world now, but what are those energy drinks out there? They're super popular, like Red Bull.
Well, yeah. I know. It's funny because like when you start to change your lifestyle, you just don't even see those things. Like I don't see fast food places. I don't see Red Bull. I just, my eye just glosses right over it. I'm like, nope.
And then you're so deep into it. Like we're 8, 9 years into this, right? And so it's like, what? Like people still drink soda. People still go to McDonald's. Like people still drink Red Bull. Like what? So in our world with women that have done like so much health work and have gotten so deep into this, probably the number one stimulant is coffee. Like that's like the typical, that's like the go-to. So Sophie, maybe you can talk about why, because we would think, well, it gives me energy, right? And coffee's natural, right? It's a bean. So why might this actually cause some stress to our bodies and not help our energy in the long run?
So coffee being like such a big stimulant, it boosts up our cortisol very quickly. And we can measure this. So a couple of years ago, I did a Dutch test actually, which is one of the hormone tests that we run in our Empower Her program. And I was dependent on coffee. And so I had a cup of coffee in the middle of my Dutch test and my cortisol went, woo! It was just like through the roof. So we know that, that stimulant is going to stimulate. One of the things it stimulates is our adrenal glands, which is where our stress hormone cortisol and adrenaline and these things are held. And so it can trick that up. And that process, I don't think people realize that process does a lot. Like it will start your heart rate going faster. Your digestion might get stimulated. You also need a lot of nutrients to digest or to kind of work with that much cortisol. So you get depleted because the cortisol is running high. Like kind of think of it like if you were driving a freight train or something, that's a lot of fuel that you have to go to keep going. So, things like magnesium get depleted when we over caffeinate ourselves and when we over trick up our cortisol. So it's kind of like this false sense of energy where it gives us a burst, but then a lot of people feel that they fall down because that cortisol is going to drop. Cortisol is also going to screw up your blood sugar. So you can have blood sugar ups and downs especially if you have coffee on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. So you might have like this like energy and then like crash out afterwards. And so that's why you might need another cup of coffee later, or even worse, maybe you turn to like something that's sugary for energy.
That's a whole other part of this conversation is what types of coffee people are actually drinking. So if you're having like Starbucks multiple times a day or a ton of creamer or a ton of sugar or sweeteners, like that's a whole other issue. We're just talking about black coffee with caffeine in it right now.
Yeah. And the other thing is also speaking on types, unfortunately buying, coffee is sprayed very heavily with pesticides. It's also very, very, very moldy. So if you're just gonna buy it without, knowing where it came from, that can also cause like other things to get in and make it harder for your body to process. Like pesticides and mold are like really toxic and inflammatory. So they can just cause the body.
They mess with your gut health, by the way. They kill all your good bacteria, FYI.
Yeah. So it's like, it can kind of just hit you on a multiple levels. So if you are going to have like that cup of coffee though, like you want to make sure it's like organic, and even Gold Star would be to use a brand that's like tested screen for mold.
Yeah. So long story short, people, what you're doing when you're drinking coffee multiple times a day is you're triggering this stress response that gives us a false sense of energy because you are then dependent on an external source for your energy to get throughout the day. And that does not allow your body to recover, to repair, or to produce its own energy naturally. And so what you end up fueling is this cyclical pattern of I'm so tired, I need the stimulant. I'm so tired, I need the stimulant. So actually in the long run, depending on things like this too much, make you more tired. And so it's sort of this, well, man, I thought it gave me energy, when in reality, by the time you're dependent on it, it's actually really making you more sleepy. So if you're going to do it, like Sophie said, we recommend brands that screen for mycotoxins and that are organic so that you're getting the high quality, because there are benefits, right? It is antioxidant rich, and there are lots of great things about a high quality coffee. However, we would recommend if you want to optimize your coffee intake, you stick to 1 cup per day. Make sure it is before noon, because the other thing is it's going to impact your sleep. So again, you're putting in a stimulus in your body. Caffeine has a shelf life in your body as it breaks down, meaning that it circulates through your body for hours after you drink it. And so if you're drinking it afternoon and in the afternoon, then you are basically sabotaging your ability to get to sleep. And again, you're playing into that pattern of fatigue. So if you're going to do it 1 cup before noon, if you really want to optimize it with your natural energy levels, do it an hour after you wake up, because right when you wake up, you should have the highest level of cortisol in your body. After that, you can drink the coffee, you can kick it up a little bit, and I'll carry you through the day.
And please do something before you have your cup of coffee too. That's another big one. If you just have coffee on an empty stomach, man, talk about messing up your gut and potentially really destabilizing everything for the whole rest of the day in terms of your blood sugar.
So if you want to get off of coffee, there are lots of alternatives. And I would actually recommend that you go at least 30 days without coffee to see if your body naturally regulates and produces its own energy normally. Because Sophie and I have both done this. I don't know how many times you've done it, Sophie. I've done it multiple times. I'm pretty much permanently off coffee except for a treat now here and there. I took a day off yesterday and I went to Sleepy Bee Cafe, and they have, I did like a mocha latte with almond milk or something. And I was like, I can tell it's healthy because it's not really sweet. It's not like a Starbucks mocha. But pretty much I don't drink coffee anymore. Instead, I choose a mud water drink. It's literally called mud water, except it's WTR instead of, it takes out the vowels. So mud water, and it's basically chai spices and medicinal mushrooms that support your immune system, support natural energy levels. It does have a little bit of caffeine in there because it has black tea, but it's 1/7 the amount of caffeine in a cup of coffee. And so because you're getting these natural supports from the mushrooms and the tea, it can really have a positive impact on your energy levels without that like forced stimulation that you get from like a high caffeine product like coffee.
Yeah, there's a lot of good coffee like alternatives out there. There's one, maybe I'll post it in the group because my phone's over there, but I actually have a client who's a nutritionist who came to me for gut health support, and she and I decided that the coffee was not going well for her gut. So she's trying one, and it's a chai, and I can post that in the comments afterwards. And it's really great. I've been trying different ones, like different latte mixes. I found one that's got like ashwagandha and cacao and maca in it, and that's been really lovely. And today I'm going to give some matcha a try. I don't know.
Matcha is like super green tea.
It's super green. I'm not always a big fan of it, but I was just thinking maybe I'll try it because I do feel like when I have matcha that my energy is just awesome because it has L-theanine in it. And so like I just feel so good on matcha. So I'm going to give it a whirl. There's just different options out there. So you don't have to feel like pigeonholed into the coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's number one that might be sabotaging you, is depending too much on external stimulants as opposed to your internal energy levels. And I know that it can feel scary, especially if you're really, really tired, to give up coffee. But I just bet that if you go like 100% and give your body like 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to start naturally regulating a little bit when you get off of these stimulants, and you're going to actually give your body the space. I would find a time maybe where you have the ability to maybe take some more naps or go to bed earlier or sleep a little bit longer so that you can get through that transition. But in the meantime, you can always try things like those alternatives. And then the other alternative we wanted to share, because we were just talking about how coffee and caffeine and stimulants, basically they tax your adrenals because that's how they produce that stress response that wakes us up. We wanted to give you the adrenal cocktail, which we actually have posted in this group before. So you can search for that in the group if you want to see the picture recipe. But our favorite is 4 ounces of organic orange juice, 2 tablespoons of full fat, it's coconut cream. So it's the thick part of the coconut milk. 2 tablespoons coconut cream, 2 scoops of collagen for the protein. So you're getting protein, fat, glucose there, and then as much Himalayan or Celtic sea salt as you can tolerate that tastes good to you. And all of that is blood sugar supportive as well as natural energy supportive, and you're getting those minerals for your adrenals to kind of support their health and your energy throughout the day as well. So that's a hot tip. So you can search in the group for that recipe as well.
I'd also really recommend that other one, that the coconut water and salt is really, really powerful. It's got sodium, potassium, and magnesium, 3 of our main macro minerals that we need in order to really be charged up. So either of those, if they sound tasty to you, might be a great way to boost your energy.
Yes. Minerals are important for our energy, and they're important for stress, which is number 2. So what might be sabotaging your energy? Stress. And if you haven't watched all of our videos, I think we just did a video 2 weeks ago, maybe, that was all about, like, maybe longer than that. But again, you can search in the group, type in stress, and you're going to see the video pop up that Sophie and I did all about, how we handle stress and how we try to support our body through times of stress. But it's the same process as we were just talking about with caffeine. It's all about taxing your adrenal glands, pumping out adrenaline and cortisol. Ultimately, that makes your body more tired in the long run. Now, sometimes we can control our stressors and sometimes we can't. So we want to make sure that we're controlling as many as we can. And that if we can't control the input, that we're at least controlling our response to it as much as possible, that we're giving ourselves that nutrient support, the mineral support, that we're avoiding external stimulants like coffee. Because if you think about it, you have this stress in your life, tells your body to go into fight or flight. Then you're drinking the coffee, tells your body to go into fight or flight. And you're doing this over and over and over, day in, day out, day in and day out. You're not getting very good sleep. And then you have this pattern. So whenever we can control stress in our lives, sometimes it's hard, really hard. But anytime we can control it or force our bodies to get into that parasympathetic by doing the things that we've taught you, meditating or deep breathing or grounding outside, putting your feet in the ground, barefoot, those types of things are going to be really, really helpful. But stress is definitely, it's going to sabotage your energy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, stress depletes nutrients too. And that's the thing that I think people don't, I don't know, Kylene, I feel like I talk to so many people who are on a diet, for example, and I look at it and I'm like, man, you're not getting enough food. And if you're not getting enough food, that's a stressor, even of itself, because the body needs, just the adrenal glands themselves need so many nutrients, like sodium.
Yeah, and you've talked about hormones and how nutrient dependent our cycles are to function properly and to function smoothly without discomfort, and for ovulation to go well and that sort of thing. So think about it this way. This is how I think about it. Every single process in the body, me moving my arm, everything that you do with your body, thinking, everything, depends on nutrient and chemical communications in your body and these reactions and signals that are being sent. And all of that depends on nutrients and the stores that we have. And stress depletes these. And so we really have to think, when we think about food, shameless plug for our gut hormone food workshop coming up May 1st. When we
talk about what foods are going to fuel all those processes.
Right, exactly. So when we think about food, we really have to shift our perspective and our emotional relationship with food to think, is this giving my body information? Because that is truly the whole purpose of food, is for survival and for health and for information for our bodies to function well. And so if we that helps our brain think about it differently when we look at two options and say, is this going to help me? Maybe not. Is this going to help me? Oh, yes. And then we can make better choices. But anyway, getting off the topic of stress, but
it is. I mean, food is also a stressor. Either you're not eating enough of it or you're eating things that cause your body stress. And that is, we have to look at the whole stress bucket. So there's mental, emotional stress, but there's also improper diet. And I don't mean diet restrict to 1,200 calories. I mean what you're putting in, the input.
Okay. So let me go on a little rant for a second, because I saw this TikTok yesterday and I was I'm so tempted to duet it, but I don't like to call people out publicly. So I'm maybe I'll just refer to it in a video that I do. But I was like, oh, okay, let's watch this. She goes, let's talk about, is Halo Top ice cream more healthy than McDonald's ice cream? And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. It's a great thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And literally all she did was break down the calories and macros and sugar content. And I was like, No.
Oh man.
Listen, I almost guarantee you, and I don't know what the ingredients are in Halo Top, but I almost guarantee you that they are half the amount of ingredients that are in McDonald's ice cream. And McDonald's ice cream, if I look at the list, probably has a crap ton of chemicals, and Halo probably doesn't have a lot. So I wanted to do one where I say, okay, it's not about the calories. It's not about the fat content or the protein content. I mean, all those things are valid considerations, but ultimately what it boils down to is the information that this food is giving you. And that has to do with where it's coming from. Is it organic cream and full fat and a natural product, or is it, made in a factory and chemical and has all these unnatural flavors in it and, all this crap? Your body doesn't know what to do with that. We are made of dirt. We are natural. We're supposed to be working with nature. And we get so far disconnected from that when we just think about macros and calories, and it makes my head explode.
And on the flip side of that too, I went out to eat last night at like a fast food, a healthy fast food place here. It's called Modern Market. It has really great foods. And I looked at the menu, and you know what's funny is they had calories on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually thought about what did I eat today, and I was like, I didn't really eat enough. And so I actually got the thing that had the most calories.
Yeah.
I was like, let me get the thing with 960 calories.
Yeah.
I need more food. Right. So, anyways, we talked about the food. We'll talk about it more next weekend. I hope you guys will come to that. And then, we talked about stress. We talked about caffeine.
Yeah. Stimulants, stress, and poor sleep patterns is number 3.
Totally.
So these all kind of play into each other, right? Like we talked about how caffeine can definitely impact your ability to sleep well, because as it's breaking down your body, whether you feel jittery or not, caffeine is circulating in your body hours later. So you may not feel that you're up, but it can still impact your ability to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is definitely a problem. But poor sleep patterns, I'll give you an example, personal example. I always thought that I was a night owl. And my dad was like, you can just train yourself to wake up in the morning. I'm like, no, you can't. And then I was like, it works for me because I am an opera singer and all of our performances are in the evening, and this is great, right? So yay me, I get to sleep in and sing super late, and it's like cardio anyway, so there's no way you're gonna go to bed after that. But when I started changing my health and my energy level started changing, and I started going through this process, and my mentor at the time said, do you think you can go to bed by 11? And I was like, 11? I don't think so. And she was like, just do it by like 15-minute increments. I am telling you, I sleep so hard now, and sleep is like the ultimate. It is like so protected. Like, that is the thing for me. Like, I have to sleep. And it's so important in our health journey because it will absolutely impact your energy levels throughout the day. If you're not getting, people think if they get, a certain number of hours that it's okay, disregarding when they go to bed. But that is ignoring our natural circadian rhythm and the way our bodies connect to the earth and work in certain patterns. Yeah. And there are certain detoxification and restoration processes that just happen better at certain times. And so a lot of this happens between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. And so if you are really cheating half of that sleep time and thinking, well, I'll just make up for it by sleeping in until 11 a.m. I don't think most people watching and sleep in that late, but you get my point. We can't cheat that. It's we can't outwork a bad diet. We can't out exercise a bad diet. It's the same thing here. We can't compensate well in other areas for lack of sleep. And a lot of times people think, I'll catch up on the weekend. That's disproven. There is no catching up on sleep. You have to be able to get not only the right amount, but preferably at a good time, and as well as getting deep enough sleep, restful enough sleep that your body is relaxing and restoring and repairing and doing all the things that sleep is supposed to do for you. So it's super, super, super important. So we recommend getting in bed by 11, but probably in bed hopefully sooner than 11 and asleep by 11 at least.
Yeah, definitely. I went to bed last night at 11. And I woke up at 5 minutes before 7 this morning. And I was like, this is so great. I didn't wake up at all. And sleep is something I still struggle with. So it's when I can master it, I'm just like, yes, I got it. And I have like great energy today and I'm going to protect it. And I have one of those Garmin watches that tracks my sleep. And it's always just so interesting to see like when, how much good quality sleep did I get? Did I get REM sleep or not? Because that's impact my energy through the day, my readiness and everything. So it's so important. It's so important. Your blood. There's this podcast I was listening to recently, a friend of ours who is also an FDN, and she was talking about how she started tracking her blood sugar. And she noticed that anytime she had poor sleep, her blood sugar was just screwed the whole next day. Like no matter what she put in her body after that, so it's just so vitally important.
Yeah, absolutely. I held up my hand because I have the Aura Ring, and the Aura Ring, it tracks your sleep and your heart rate and all these things while you're sleeping. And basically, if you plug it in and get the report, it will tell you, your readiness level for the day.
Yeah.
And, if it's super good, it's like, okay, you can go work out. If it's super low, you're like, maybe I shouldn't today. Okay. And I have to go because I have another client call. So we're going to wrap this up. But number 4 is other hidden stressors. And this is where Sophie and I really come in to support you long-term. You've seen us talk about all this kind of stuff a lot, but hormone imbalances, obviously we talked about cortisol, but just general hormone imbalances can make you feel really, really off. And then other hidden stressors, because again, if you're thinking about tolerance levels and stress buckets and all these different things that we talk about, if you have a ton of stuff going on in your gut, it's causing inflammation. That's a stress on your body. It's pulling from nutrients. The more stress, wherever it comes from, hormone imbalances or gut health or mental or emotional or whatever, the more stress, the more nutrients are pulled. The less nutrients you have, the less ability your body has to produce energy, because all of that energy that it has is going to support your immune system, to lower inflammation, to put out these fires, to handle it. Its goal is always balance. Your body's goal is always balance. And so the more imbalanced it is, the more tired you're going to feel because it doesn't have the reserves to help you.
Yep. Bingo. So that is why we became FDNs, because we could talk about sleep and stress reduction all day long, but a lot of our clients weren't getting better because they didn't know that they had a parasite or a yeast or fungi of other sorts of bacteria, hormone imbalances, whatever. That's why we have Empower Her, so that if you're like, I manage my stress and I sleep and I think I eat a pretty healthy diet, and you're still struggling, we got to look deeper. That's why we have that program for you guys. And we are going to be opening the doors to it again.
So excited.
Soon on Saturday, not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but a week from now. You guys are some of the first people to know that. So if you were in this group the last time and you didn't sign up, I know there was a couple people already messaging me, when is it happening? When's it happening? It's happening. It's happening. We have limited spots. If you are interested in learning more about it or making sure you get your spot this time, please DM us in advance and we'll make sure you get the link on Saturday. We will be announcing it at our workshop.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. If you want to, learn more about food specifically, you're interested in working with us or learning more about Empower Her, make sure you hop into the workshop. We're going to be going over some things. We're going to be laying some foundational principles for you, talking specifically about what foods help, why they help. I was working on this the other day. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
So you will learn something. Even if you're totally healthy, you will learn something. If you're totally into this world, please come. We're going to have a great time. The first hour or so is going to be education. The second hour is going to be workshop. We're going to help you take action, think through some things, make some changes, come up with a plan. You have this group for support as well. And then we're going to do a short question and answer session. We'll be talking a little bit about Empower Her. So if you want to kind of get some information, make sure you sign up for the workshop. It is sophieandkylene.com/workshop. It's only $37, you guys. And we got such amazing feedback from our last workshop. You will not want to miss it. Super, super fun. Can't wait. Next Saturday, May 1st, 11:30 EST. We'll drop the comment below, or drop the link in the comments below. But yeah, make sure to join us. And Empower Her is coming soon. We can't wait.
We can't wait. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, see you next week. Bye. I think it's time.